Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Li'l K Artistry. I am Kristen, the artist also known as Li'l K, and I welcome you back to my little corner of the art world. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much for spending some time with me today. I am, as you can see, working on a large round canvas. This is one I have reclaimed, and I just put just a quick coating of dioxazine purple just to darken it up. Put a little bit of a coat on the canvas before I go ahead and put the Abstract Cellism piece on. This is a 24-inch cradled wood canvas, and I have it on my 24-inch spinner that I made, and it's, as you can see, very quiet, super smooth, and very level. If you would also like to have one of these or make one yourself, this is back in video number 89. So if you scroll down, you can see the how-to for how I made the spinner. Today I'm actually doing a piece that is, I'm hoping, to hang on my wall in my living room. I'm switching over in the process from a purple color, little bit of a color palette with purples and grays to a more blue, brown, and tan color scheme, which I'm kind of feeling it right now. So this is going to be hanging on my wall above my couch, hopefully, if it turns out the way I'm expecting it to, which I think it will. All of these paints that I'm using are mixed with my pouring medium, including the base paint, and that's what this is, and all of my colors are mixed this way as well, except the top layer. These paints are using a slight variation of Steve Chase's mix that he uses at Chase Fluid Art. You can go ahead over to his YouTube channel, Chase Fluid Art. He is fantastic. And I would not be here where I am today doing this beautiful, wonderful art that is my favorite if it weren't for Steve Chase. So go over to his channel and show him some love. This is a slight variation of his mix that he uses. The top layer that he uses is the same mix. I do a slightly different ratio. So if you're looking for a really great way to use his mixes, go on over to his channel. And this is my slightly different version of his mixes. So I'm hoping this comes out really beautiful today. If you see some of my previous videos, I think there's at least 4, I think, that I've done doing testers of this mix. This is my largest one. And what I wanted to do was try varying styles of this formula to get lots and lots of teeny tiny cells, some medium-sized cells, and I'm also trying to get some larger cells just using different techniques. Today, I'm hoping to get some larger cells, some of those big boulder cells that are real nifty looking, as well as some tiny cells. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I will tell you the various colors that I'm using as I get going. Most of these paints are using the golden fluid acrylics. I have one here, this light blue, that is folk art. That is the only one that does not use golden fluid. And of course, the top layer uses Amsterdam titanium white. It is not golden fluid, but all the other colors are golden fluid acrylics. And what I'm going to be doing is using my base color for the base coat. This is not tinted. It's the same as these. I just didn't put any color in it. I'm also experimenting doing that because I feel like if I use the same base mix, once I put the colors on, it will create uniformity in the piece. So instead of putting a color down, I'm just going to be using the base coat with the base formula that I use for all of my colors without any pigment in it. So that's what this is. And I will probably put this mostly close to the edge, but I don't think I will need to cover the whole canvas with a real thick coat, but we'll see. I'm just going to put a bunch on here and see where we go here. And again, this piece is hopefully, if it turns out well, going to be hanging above my couch in my living room, I hope. Hope it turns out well. We shall see. And again, the whole point of this base coat, as is with other styles that you've seen me do, the whole point of this base coat is to make the canvas, in this case the cradled wood canvas, nice and slippery, so that when I go to spin, this form of art does utilize the spinning of the canvas. It will move on the canvas, because if the canvas is dry, it won't move. So that's the whole point of putting that base coat down. I'm just going to spin it out a little bit more, see if I can thin it out a little more. So we don't need a huge amount, it just needs to moisten the canvas. There we go. Okay, so that has no pigment in it at all. That's just the pouring medium without pigment. Now I'm going to add the pigment. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I appreciate you joining me. I hope you will consider subscribing. There are a number of helpful links in the description. I don't put them in all the videos just because I feel like there's a lot there already. But if you scroll down to some of my videos, you'll be able to see some of the other links. I do, again, the spinner is in video 89, and I will link some of the other products that I use as well. Okay, so there's the base coat. I am going to start with some carbon black. And this is Golden Fluid Acrylics. So this is their carbon black. Just like that. I don't need a ton. And then on top of the carbon black, I am going to put a little bit of, no, I'm not going to do titanium white. I was thinking titanium white. I'm going to do actually Prussian blue. This is one of my favorites. One of my favorite blues. The other one is the Payne's Gray. The Prussian blue and the Payne's Gray from Golden Fluid are very similar in color. They're both pretty dark. Payne's Gray is not really gray, it's sort of gray. And then on top of that, I'm going to do a little bit of titanium white. It's like we've got something in there. Get that out of a little dry piece of schmutz there. We don't want that in there. And then on top of this, a little titanium white. Don't want a ton, just to lighten it up a little bit. I am using a white top coat, so that will lighten it up a little bit too. All right, now this is the Payne's Gray. No, sorry, the Van Dyke Brown goes down next. I'm really loving this color combination with the blues and the browns. I do have some brown wood furniture, so that's why I'm trying to bring in a little bit of the browns and the tans. On top of that, some Titan Buff. Again, these are Golden Fluid. So a little Titan Buff here. Titan Buff and unbleached titanium are very similar. Titan Buff, I think, is a little tiny bit darker. Okay, now we will do, this is the one that is not Golden Fluid. This is Folk Art, and I love this blue quartz color. It's very shiny and shimmery. It adds some real beautiful sparkle to the painting. And then a little bit of Payne's Gray on top of that, just a little. The Payne's Gray and the Prussian Blue both dry very dark. There we go. Okay, there's that. Those are all my colors, quite a few colors there. 7 colors on the canvas. Okay. And now, because I'm trying to get bolder cells, I am going to pour the white top layer on. I'm not going to use any air to blow it out to create the cells. Usually that's what I do, but I have discovered in experimenting with this style, if I just pour the top layer on in a thin layer and then spin it really well, I can get some bigger cells, especially in the middle. And that's what I'm going for here. So this top layer is a different viscosity. It's thinner. It's meant to be kind of slide across the top, which is why we use the air to blow it. And then it forms the cells that way. And because I'm not using air, it's a little bit thinner this time. There we go. Okay, you guys, I'm really hoping this is going to turn out the way I want it to. We'll see. And what I have been doing is scraping the extra off of my puppy pad here into my cup. So once I end the video, I'll be doing that. Okay, now let's see what happens. There's going to be a lot of spinning involved in this one because that's what moves that top layer. And that's what we need to spin out and spread out to stretch along the canvas and create those cells. So there's going to be a lot of spin off on this one. So I'll have to really go through here when I stop the camera and clear up all this. I've done several, and this is my little jug here. You can see it's about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way full. So as I'm spinning this, you can see that white top layer is spreading out, which is exactly what I want to happen. Not a ton of cells yet, but they will form as that white layer gets thinner. And that's exactly what we want to have happen. Okay, so right now it doesn't look like much, but all of this white, you can start to see the bigger cell, which is exactly what I wanted, and then some smaller cells. But as I keep stretching it, not only will more cells appear, but those cells that are there will get bigger, and the ones that are here will start to stretch, and that's exactly the effect that I'm looking for. So no air was needed for this. I just simply poured out that top layer. I'm going to have a lot of extra here to put in my cup. That's awesome. I'm just going to kind of pop a few of the bubbles as we're going here. And you'll see once these cells start to form, that Treasured Gold by Folk Art is that real light, and it's very shimmery. It's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Okay, now we can see there are a few more cells forming in the center next to those big ones. This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted, you guys. Oh my goodness. Again, it doesn't, oh, this is so cool. I don't know if you guys can see this. You might be too far away, but there's 2 cells right there that look like eyeballs. It's very cute. You know what? I might have to come over there and zoom in so you can see. I'll wait. Those eyeballs probably won't be there at the end, but they are right there. It's so cute. Okay, so you can see there are some smaller cells that have formed, and they're starting to elongate. And these bigger cells are also forming smaller cells inside of them, also starting to elongate, which is exactly what I wanted. And this is that top layer. So more cells will form as just... what's happening is some tiny cells are forming along the edges of the big cells, which is so cool. But right now, those eyeballs are growing. This is so cute. Right now, what's happening is it's just the weight of gravity that's pushing on this paint right now. And that's the only thing really that's causing these cells to form, which I absolutely love. You guys, if this doesn't change at all, but it will. I love it just the way that it is. But I'm going to spin it just a little bit more. See if I can get a little bit more of that white to sink a little bit. And as as it spreads out, it naturally thins. And as that top layer naturally thins, some of it is sinking down, and that's why the cells are forming slowly. This style of art is so mesmerizing and relaxing, and those eyeballs, look at you guys, those eyeballs in the middle, they're still there, and they look so sad. Oh my goodness, why am I laughing? This is so, I'm gonna have to stop this and zoom in before they disappear. You guys have to see these eyeballs. Hold on, I'm gonna come over there. And zoom in on those sad little eyes. Oh my goodness, why do they look so sad? This is so cute. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can zoom you in and show you. Where are they? Can you see? Where? Oh, I lost them. There they are. Can you see the eyeballs? You see those two little eyeballs right there? They look so sad. I'm gonna try zoom in. Can you see them? Oh my goodness. Why is that making me laugh? Oh my goodness, hold on, let me put the camera back. You know, it's funny because I watch video after video after video on YouTube of how to make these videos and, you know, be professional, be an artist, and I'm just like, there's eyeballs and they're making me giddy. I'm not a professional at all. So I wanted to show you those eyeballs before they disappear, because I know they're going to stretch out and disappear, and that's fine. But they're just so stinking cute, I had to show you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue spinning this because it does need some more stretching. I don't want to leave all that paint on the canvas. But like I've said before, the nice thing about this, not only does it's not a ton. This is a big painting, and I had a lot of base paint on underneath of it. So there is quite a bit that has spun off. But typically, there's no waste. There's very little spin off. But in this one, the other thing that I love is that I can go along here with I usually use something like this, like a little palette scraper, and I'll scrape it off and put it in my container and save it. And then I'll use that as a base coat for another painting that I'll do that might have similar colors in it, or one that has, you know, so much paint on the top you won't even see the base coat once it's, and actually you're not seeing any base coat in this one because that base coat had no pigment in it, and all the paint that you're seeing here has color in it. Oh, wow, look at all of those stretched. This is exactly what I wanted to have happen. Okay, so if you guys are looking at this the way I'm looking at it, you'll see this white layer with all the squiggles on the very outside edge. That's the original little bit of white that I put in the center there. I've spun it so much it's now, like some of it spun off over here, but some of these pointed pieces, you'll see, that's the white. And everywhere you see that, eventually that layer is going to sink. And even as it's drying, you're going to, by the time this is completely dry, there's not going to be hardly any white here. All these little cells will have grown even bigger. But I'm going to spin a little more, see if I can get some of these bits to spin off. Hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. And I do want to remind you, December 1st, I will be mixing. I'll be doing my mixing video. Again, this is very similar to Steve Chase's mix. I just tweaked his mix a little bit because one of the ingredients that I was getting from his mix had changed its consistency, and this was not happening. I was getting these beautiful cells, and then they were just sinking back into the paint, and it wasn't, I wasn't able to get any kind of, I was able to get the results, but it wasn't drying. The dry results were very disappointing. And I mean, it's great to, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. Look at, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a whole line of dark blue, itty bitty little dark blue cells that just run through there. And there's some along here. I love that. You never know. There's some here. So you've got these gigantic boulder cells, and then in between, little lines of, there's some more forming here, little lines of tiny, and then you have these teardrop cells that have multiple cells inside of them. Oh, you guys, this is so fun. I mean, this is just, it's fun, and it's so rewarding. I have a couple of pieces here that I've completed and sealed that are going to their forever homes. And what a amazingly humbling, and I'm so honored that friends and even people that I don't know who have requested pieces are my creation, my babies are hanging in people's homes and in businesses, and I have another business that I'm meeting with today, actually, that they're looking to get some special pieces made for their, wow, for their business. And it's just so humbling, and it's a huge honor for me that things that I have conceived of in my mind and then created on the canvas, people want them hanging on their walls. I'm still, because I'm a relatively new artist, I've only been doing this for just about 2 years. It's so mind-blowing that people want this in their home. And I mean, I'm sitting here going, why wouldn't you? I mean, this is going on my wall. This one I'm keeping. This is going on my wall. But I'm fully aware that this style of art isn't for everyone. Not everybody likes it, and that's fine. You know, there are artists out there, and I'm like, you know, it's awesome. I can see what you're doing, and I see that it's art, and I see that you're passionate about it, and not everyone can do it. It's not my cup of tea. There are some artists, and I'm just like, that's beautiful, but it's not my thing. I can absolutely appreciate the work that has gone into it, and the time, and the dedication. So I would never speak ill, ever. And I'm always supportive of all artists, even if it's not my particular style of art that I love. But we can all be supportive of one another, whether we enjoy the art or not, whether we would buy it or not. We can all be supportive. And I believe we all really ought to be supportive of one another. We are our own worst critic. We don't really need other people to do it for us. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this here, and I have a feeling, I'm not 100% sure, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think those were the eyeballs, and now they're stretched and they don't look like eyeballs as much anymore. But that's what happens with this style. And this is that line of those really tiny dark blue cells that had just started to form, and now they're even bigger. And then I'm going to bring you in closer. There are multiple cells here that have multiple cells, and then they're all stretching and forming new cells. But let me tell you guys, this does something to my brain, and I can't explain it. I could look at this painting for hours and not see everything that is here. I'm so happy with the way this turned out. So some of you have asked how long these take to dry. This style with this mix typically is dry to the touch within 24 hours. I almost always let at least 2 weeks, sometimes 3, depending on the size of the piece, for it to cure completely. I do not seal my paintings until they are 100% cured. Then I seal them, and I just seal them with gloss polyacrylic. And I usually put 1 to 2 coats. Again, it depends on the size of the piece and how much paint is on it. 1 to 2 coats. And then I give at least another week before that is dry, 2 weeks for it to be cured if I'm going to mail it. If I'm hand delivering it and it doesn't need to be wrapped in anything, then 1 week is sufficient. Okay, wow, that right there is just layer upon layer of blue and black and gray and white. And then you've got the same thing going on over here with the browns. Oh my word, you guys. This is, okay. I'm going to come over there and I'm going to zoom you in. Let me put it at the correct position. I believe the composition, I'm seeing a number of lines that are going this way. So I'm thinking that this is probably the bottom. And that's the composition there. So let me zoom you in. I've been thinking about creating this piece for about a week. And I had all the colors picked out. And to be able to look at it now, completed, exactly as I wanted it. I'm going to zoom in and see if I can find those. Okay, that little, see that line of blue cells right there, right next to the brown? And then you've got these other cells that have multiple colors in them. And these are the ones I was talking about, those multiple layers of blue, different shades of blue in those big cells that are all stretched. And then all along the edge, all those tiny cells that are just, there's just, if I can zoom in up there, there's just so many. And then there's a whole grouping over here of all those. And then you've got some that are just these little baby cells hanging out in the middle. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? It is exactly as I wanted it. Let me zoom out a tiny bit more so you can see the whole thing, you guys. There. Wow. As you've probably noticed, I am not a professional videographer, but this is me, and I believe if you're just one little word of advice here, and then a couple of announcements. If you're a new artist, if you're struggling to find your thing, work with a bunch of mediums, try out a few things. If you're a fluid artist, you could try out Abstract Cellism, which is what this is called. You can try out the cloud pours. You can try out the Dutch pour mediums by Rinsky Downya. You can try out the cells and the swiping of cells like Molly at Molly's Artistry does, and or the blowout with cells that Olga Sobi does. I follow all of them. They are extremely talented and amazingly wonderful artists. Find your thing, find your medium. But the one thing I can't stress enough, the number one piece of advice I can give you is be yourself. This is me. When you see one of my videos, they're probably always going to be like this. I'm not a professional videographer. I don't have aspirations to be a professional videographer. What I'm trying to do is get my personality and my style and my art out there for you all to enjoy and to do yourself if that's your passion and you want to try this, which is why on December 1st I will be sharing this mix. Until then, go to Chase Fluid Art and try his mix. This is a variation of his mix. But do be yourself, please. Be yourself. I am Kristen. I'm called Li'l K. If you've watched any of my videos previously, you'll know the reason that I'm called Li'l K is because I also do karaoke, and for my own personal reasons, I didn't want my name out there. I didn't want to be, and that's a long story, and it has to do with the trauma that I experienced, yada, yada, yada. That's a whole other video. I didn't want my real name out there, so people started calling me Li'l K. And that transferred to Li'l K Artistry. And so that's my brand. That's who I am. I'm Li'l K. I'm also known as Kristen. And this is Li'l K Artistry. This is my little corner of the art world. And I thank you for joining me. Please, guys, be yourself. Do your art. Do any kind of art that you want, but please be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. I've gone down that road. It's not who I am. This is who I am. Like it or don't. This is who I am. And I gotta be me, and you gotta be you. So thank you for joining me once again. There's a bubble. Once again, I appreciate you being here. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments on this piece. This is my largest abstract cellism to date. This is my largest piece, 24-inch round cradled wood canvas, and I'm loving everything that is going on here. So thank you for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you have, thank you for coming back. Once again, this is Li'l K Artistry, and I'm just going to remind you and encourage you, go make the art.